Howdy, guys. Welcome to night 25 of Big Brother All-Stars. Can you believe we're at 25 already? Hey, this is Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. Hope y'all are doing fantastic on this Saturday evening, Sunday morning. We're going to talk about what happened overnight. Saturday was veto day inside the house, so we selected veto players. We had the veto competition. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the repercussions. Now, there are spoilers involved, so if you don't want to know who won veto, I hate to do it, but you're going to have to stop right here and come back later, I suppose. But for the rest of you, welcome. Come on in. All right, guys, so just as a quick refresher for you, the veto contestants that we had, Enzo was HOH, Kevin and Kaiser were the two nominees. We selected three additional contestants. Bailey was selected. Tyler was selected. Tyler's chip gets drawn every single veto competition in his season, this season, it seems like. So Tyler's competing once again. Kevin drew house guest choice, and Kevin drew David's chip. Good choice, good pick. David probably would use the pick, the veto win, if he wanted to take Kevin off the block if he won. Now, here's what's interesting. If David was to take Kevin off the block, that means that Kevin is safe and David is safe. So that would be a good choice in that particular scenario. So they get ready to have the competition. Apparently, the competition involved hanging from ropes like a puppet. There was some kind of puppet master in the background behind them, similar to last year's poised Ivy competition that we had during my season that you're seeing in the background here behind me. People hanging from rope, a lot of endurance skills. Apparently, it took about an hour to complete. It got covered in paint and everything. And the winner of the competition, drum roll, Kevin. Kevin won the competition. Now, apparently, it came down to Kaiser fell off after 5 or 10 minutes. After that, apparently, it really came down to David and Kevin were the only ones up there for an extended period of time. Eventually, David faltered. Kevin won the competition. Now, here's the thought. I mentioned what a great choice it was to select David. If Kevin had a whole lot of trust in David and wanted to try to do some kind of alliance or working together, it could have been possible for Kevin to go ahead and throw that competition once it was just him and David on the still left in the competition. Step off the ropes, let David win. David could then pull Kevin off the block. They would both be safe. Neither one could be nominated for eviction this week. It could have been very interesting, but again, it takes a whole lot of trust, and I don't think Kevin has that kind of trust in David. They want to work together. They seem to be on friendly terms. That's a whole nother level of trust. So I get it, but just something to think about. So anyway, Kevin won the competition. He was incredibly excited, as you would expect. They were in pain. All of them complaining about sores and asking for foam rollers. Eventually, they got ice packs and they got icy hot pads. They must have gone through dozens of those things. They just had them everywhere. Even people who weren't competing were finding reasons to put those hot pads on them. So they were a little sore after that competition itself. Just as an FYI, similar to that, Memphis seems to be in some pretty bad pain. He was laying on his stomach with an ice pack on his back. Said that he tweaked it, did something earlier in the week, bent over and felt something pop, and so he's feeling a little uncomfortable right now. We'll see if that's an ongoing concern or if it's healed up. Fortunately, he's got till Thursday in HOH competition before it's an issue, so hopefully he'll be able to heal up. But just an FYI on that. A couple of quick conversations that occurred. First one, this is actually a somewhat extended conversation. Nicole and Danny talking up in the upstairs lounge right after the competition, soon after. Nicole is telling Danny, says, hey, Christmas told me that she felt really comfortable today. That she didn't feel like she's really being threatened right now. Danny immediately says, hey, Christmas has no clue what's going on. She thinks she owns a house. And you need to tell the guys that she's feeling a little too confident here and let them know that she thinks she's got this game in hand. Nicole does later tell Cody and Enzo. They kind of say, yeah, she kind of acts a little arrogant about it, but that's just her. It's whatever. They don't take it that seriously. But Nicole and Danny both are kind of planting some seeds about Christmas and some concerns they have with her. Nicole also says to Danny that Cody and Christmas, they just don't like each other. And Danny says, really? I haven't seen that. And Nicole says, yeah, they kind of josh back and forth, but it's not the same level as I have with Cody and all. And he just doesn't really like Christmas. So again, planting some seeds. Some other conversations with or discussions within that conversation. Danny is talking, says, Enzo really likes David. And now after he won this competition in endurance or not, take that back. He really likes David. And after David played so hard in the competition, didn't win, but after David competed so hard in the competition, Enzo probably likes him even more. And Danny's saying he may not. Kevin's going to pull himself off the block. He may not put David up in his place if he's got that kind of like and respect for David. He may go for Ian as the new nomination instead. So Ian's name's starting to get thrown around a little bit, and it'll continue to happen this evening. There's talk about next week. Nicole is really hoping that Davon wins HOH because she knows or assumes that she'd be safe if Davon is controlling the nominations. But she's incredibly scared that Bailey's going to come after her. And so if Bailey wins, Nicole is just certain that she's going to go up on the block. Danny's talking to her saying, calm down, Nicole. It's fine. Even if something like that happened, we've got the votes. You aren't going anywhere. You're fine. But Nicole's very scared for next week. She's been talking for the past few days. She's talked a lot about it tonight and really quizzing what could happen different directions. So it's something on the upmost of her mind for sure. If Nicole wins HOH, she tells Danny that she would put Kevin and David up. She really wants to backdoor Bailey. Again, she thinks Bailey's coming after her, so now she wants to go after Bailey instead. So that's kind of her target. But she says she also knows that Davon would be mad if she did that, but it doesn't matter. She wants Bailey out before Bailey comes for her if she can do it. So we had that little conversation. All right, as part of the conversation as well, Nicole started talking about, said, the people in this house are weird. And Danny says, people in this house are really starting to get annoying. You think? Okay. I'm not arguing, right? All right, so here we go. So they had that conversation. Christmas comes up and joins them just a little bit after they start talking again about what's going to happen with Kevin pulling himself off the block. They're all certain that a pawn is going up. Kaiser's going home, no matter what. Whoever goes up, it's a done deal. Kaiser's going home, so it doesn't really matter. And a few people have said that throughout the evening. Meanwhile, I guess maybe about the same time this is going on, Kevin is crying in the camera room, just on the bed crying, thanking God, saying how grateful he is he won this competition, talking about that he is a fighter. He's not a pawn. He's not going to give up. Good job, Kevin. Fight through it. Do what you got to do to survive week to week, and he certainly did it this week. Y'all got to understand, this is such a stressful game, and yeah, even though he was told that he was a pawn, and he probably more or less believed it, if you stay on that block, it still means that there's always a chance. You've got to have a speech prepared for Julie on Thursday. You have to pack your bags. Everyone's looking at you a little bit funny the whole week through. Now that he's won veto, he knows he's coming off from this point till next Thursday, he's free and clear. He's got no worries at all. So certainly I can see why he was so incredibly grateful and stressful. Even if he didn't think that he was probably going home, it still is a big deal. So congrats to you, Kevin, for doing what you needed to do to enjoy a few days of relaxation. So we had that. Another conversation, Bailey and Cody are talking. They're saying it doesn't matter who gets put up because Kaiser is going home. Again, same kind of conversation. They just need to pick a pawn that's going to make the least amount of waves, not going to get anyone too upset. Enzo joins them and says, man, I don't know who's going up yet. We'll figure it out, but I don't have a clue. Davon enters, and this is interesting. This is something that keep in mind. Davon enters, and Enzo continues talking. He says that as soon as Kaiser fell, he threw the comp. Because at that point, as long as Kaiser wasn't winning veto, he didn't care who else won it. Because he assumes as well that Kaiser's going home no matter who goes up against him. So he says he threw the competition. Didn't matter. So we've got that. All right, another conversation. This is between Nicole and Cody. Nicole is again saying that she'd put up Kevin and David if she had a chance. Cody says, yeah, that works for me. I'd do it as well. And Nicole then says that Danny said that Bailey is after Nicole. I don't remember her saying that. It seemed like Nicole was a lot more worried about that than Danny was, but that's what she tells Cody. Cody says, yeah, don't take everything that Danny says to heart. It's probably, maybe she's serious, but she very well may not be. She may be spinning some stuff. Another conversation, Bailey and Davon are talking. Davon saying that she asked David on Thursday, I think, who is in this alliance of his? And he said, I can't tell you until Friday after noms when I know I'm safe, and then I'll tell you. So she says, okay. So after the nominations occurred, she asked him late last night or early today, says, okay, now who's in the alliance? And he says, I still can't tell you. So Davon is very frustrated with David. She doesn't feel like he's being real forthcoming with her, and she's kind of tired of David at this point in time. Bailey and David are continuing to talk. They're saying that they really thought that all these strong females in the house, they would have worked together this year, but with 3 women gone, that just doesn't seem to be the case. At one point later in the evening, Christmas and Bailey and Davon and Danny are all sitting in the bathroom together, and they realize that the 4 of them, along with Nicole, they're the only women left in the house, and there's still 8 guys. So that certainly is still a little bit of a conversation. Both Bailey and Davon do mention while they're in the bathroom that if Ian goes up as the renom, they think they can make a strong case to get him evicted, saying he already won. It's a good idea to split him and Nicole Franzel up as well. So they may be putting a push in play to try to get Ian out the door and protect Kaiser instead. So we'll see if that works, if they pursue it. They also are still talking. Enzo comes in. They talk about making a big move. Said, we could do this. Kaiser's still going to be a target next week. Enzo says, yeah, big targets. And they get on the topic of Danny. He says, I like Danny, but I don't really trust her game-wise. But he says, I don't talk to game with Ian or Nicole Franzel either. He says, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to Ian before deciding about renoms tomorrow, and then we'll figure it out. Renoms, I guess, on Monday. Then we'll figure it out. So he's been keeping it low as far as what he's going to do. My guess is he's going to be very conservative. He probably will just put up a pawn, and they'll continue to push to send Kaiser out the door. But we'll see. We got a couple of days of the weekend before that's decided. Another conversation. This one is upstairs in the HOH room, I believe, between Danny, Nicole, Cody, and Tyler. They're talking about the fact that if Ian goes up as a renom, then Memphis is going to probably want to flip and get Ian out. They think Memphis will start leading that push. And again, we've got Bailey and Davon who potentially are going to do as well. So there's some concern that if Ian does go up, he could go out the door. And this group all wants Kaiser out the door. So they want to make sure that they really push with Enzo and make sure that he doesn't gain smart ideas and try to put Ian up. They just want that pawn, send Kaiser out the door, and deal with Ian and others later on down the road. So they're really pushing to keep it a nice, easy, boring week this week. So we'll see. All right. Finally, that's really about it for game talk, strategy talk this evening. I spent a lot of time. They made a ball out of aluminum foil, played a game throwing it to each other while shouting each other's names. Spent a lot of time eating, talking about foods, and just general chit-chat this evening. Now that the veto competition was held, everyone can take a breath of fresh air, relax a little bit. I'm sure they're all eager. They're waiting for the backyard to open up probably at some point in the morning so they can go out and just get away from the game as much as possible, enjoy it a little bit, and then come back and talk campaigning and everything starting tomorrow. But they were just taking a little breath tonight. So again, that's it for this evening's wraps. The main key is Kevin is off the block, and so he's feeling much more comfortable about his position. Enzo's going to have to make another choice. There's going to be some pushes to try to do something big, but at the end of the day, that probably doesn't happen. He probably puts up he maybe puts up a David, maybe an Ian or someone, and they're going to push to get Kaiser out the door. But expect the unexpected. So we'll see. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Sunday. I will be back first thing Monday morning, and I'll give you the recap for tomorrow night's activities. I'll have a great day. Cheers, guys. SKD 143. Night or morning. Yes, it is morning. Bye, guys.